Hi. Now for this next part, we're told that in the collision, the magnitude of the impulse exerted on A by B is 3.3 Newton seconds. And for 3 marks, we've got to find the value of M. Now in order to do something like this, we've got to know what is meant by impulse. And impulse is equal to the change in momentum. In other words, it's the final momentum minus the initial momentum. And because we're dealing with momentum in something like this, it's a vector quantity, so direction matters. Now on your diagram, what I would always suggest in these impulse questions is you mark on the impulse with, say, the letter I. So if we're looking at the impulse that A receives from B, it is an impulse, a blow if you like, to the left. We'll call it I. And B receives an equal but opposite impulse, okay, something like that, okay, and we'll label that I as well. So if we consider particle A, let's just mark this up here. If we consider A, remember we're dealing with momentum, which is a vector quantity. And that means that we need to set up a positive sense. So we're going to take the positive sense in the direction of I if we consider A. So that's going to be to the left. Now you don't have to consider to the left as positive, and I would always strongly suggest you experiment with this. But generally it's a good idea to take positive in the sense of the impulse that you're considering. Okay, so working off this formula then, we know that this impulse, which is 3.3, so we've got therefore 3.3 is equal to the final momentum, so it's mass times the final velocity, so the mass is 5m, and the final velocity, well, the speed is 0.8 meters per second, but as a velocity, because it's going to the right, in the negative sense then to this. So this got to be 5 times 5m times minus 0.8. So take care there. Then we've got minus, and then we've got the initial momentum. So it's the mass, which is 5m, multiplied by the initial velocity. Well, this is 3 meters per second, but it's to the right in the opposite sense to what we've got here. So it's going to be 5m times minus 3. So all we've got to do is just simplify what we have here on the right. So 5m times minus 0.8 is going to be 4m, minus 4m I should say. And then here we've got plus 15m. So 15m minus 4m, well that's 11m, so we've therefore got 3.3 equals 11m. And that means that if we divide through both sides by 11, m equals 0.3. 0.3 then for m. So do take care then over the signs. That's where people tend to trip up with questions like this. Now do try an experiment. Take to the right as positive. If you did do that, what you will have is minus 3.3 here, okay, equals 5m times 0.8 minus 5m times plus 3. What will happen is though that you should still be able to work it through, and m will still turn out to be plus 0.3. Obviously it's got to be a positive value, but you should get m is 0.3. So do check that out, okay? It pays to experiment.